Once dragons and men coexisted. They shared a peace forged in wisdom. A peace that lasted many generations. All that was lost when mankind disrupted this balance in a sudden onslaught. Man fought dragon in a savage war that shook the foundations of their world. This war was called the Scouring. Defeated and humbled, dragons vanished from the realm. In time, man rebuilt and spread his dominion across the land, and on to the islands beyond. A millennium has passed since those dark days ended. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our next Let's Play, Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance. One of my favorite Game Boy Advance games. Oh, here we go. You are a little bit of backstory. For this game, you're not just some omnipotent force controlling the player characters in their quest. Instead, you're actually given a name, and it's told that you're a tactician wandering across the land. So, let's just go ahead and... yeah, let's change this. Our name... since we can't type in PA Master, we'll go with my default. There we go. Birth month of March. And gender male, there we are. And this Fire Emblem is not the first Fire Emblem game by any means, but it's the first one that came to the US, and it was really my first experience with turn-based strategy, truth be told. So it holds a little bit of a special place in my heart for that. And I'm not going to be reading all the text. The intro was just an exception. Sorry, I'm going to try to not speed through the text here, but if I ever do, just a matter of habit. So please excuse me for that. So, we're found completely unconscious on the plains with no backstory whatsoever and none ever given. Welcome to the prologue. Now, if you've ever played a Fire Emblem game at all, a strategist by trade, an odd profession indeed, if you've ever played a Fire Emblem game at all, you know exactly how this goes, but if you haven't, a bit of a primer. So, your units are blue, the enemy units are red, and you never actually are seen again, I don't think. So, I think that's the last you ever see of your character. So, as you can see, when you select a unit in Fire Emblem, you're able to move them around a set number of spaces. The enemies also have a set number of spaces they can move, and in the case of Lyn, our very first unit, she is a melee unit, so we're not going to be able to attack any enemies that are further than one space away. So, for the tutorial, we have to move her to the space with the flashing cursor. So, you normally have a couple extra commands, but for now the only one available to us is wait. Once you've used up all of your unit's actions, it is the enemy phase, which means that the enemies get a chance to attack. So, here is how combat works. Fire Emblem is entirely numerical combat, albeit with some animations attached. Nothing about it is skill-based in the slightest, apart from your actual strategy around the field. You can see we have an attack value, critical chance, hit value, and a chance to avoid attacks. Naturally, the enemies will have these as well. We're going to go over what a lot of this means later, but for now, just know that We have 16 HP, that he has a chance to do 10, so if he hit us twice with his 39% hit chance, for it is a percent of 100, we would die. It's the tutorial, so that's literally impossible, but once you actually get past this level, you will have to pay more attention to the values. So we're going to get to hit for 7 twice, and after each battle you're going to get a little bit of experience. If you manage to kill the enemy, you're going to get a little bit more. As you can see, Lynn got hit there, taking her down to 6 HP, nearly dead, but if you kill an enemy it gives considerably more experience, so she's already up to 40. When you hit 100, you level up. Or that specific unit levels up, rather. So. Okay, we're going to have to move to the space marked here, and then we can use items. One of the most basic items is called a vulnerary. It is an item that restores 10 HP on the unit that uses it, so just handy to carry around. It's your portable health station for before you get healers. Now, she has to go fight the boss. Now, the boss is standing on an interesting space. We can't actually deselect Lynn to show you the space, but the place that he is on gives him additional avoid chance, as well as possibly even defense, and restores his health each turn. A lot of bosses will be on these sorts of gates, so you need to be kind of careful around them, but honestly, again, this is the tutorial. You don't need to be too worried about this. And Bada the Beast, as he is called, is actually going to land a hit, but despite what you may think about Fire Emblem, or I mean, what you may not think, the first level is completely and totally scripted. Which means that despite the fact that we have merely a 1% chance to crit, she is going to land it on the second hit, and since a critical hit deals 3 times your base damage, it will be more than enough to finish off the boss. There we go. And when you level up, you get a bunch of stats. In this case, Lynn is of a special class, Lord, as she is one of the main protagonists. And that all went by fairly quickly. You can see the level up information if you'd like. But you have a lot of different things. When she has enough experience, she'll level up, her abilities improve, she'll grow much stronger, so will everyone. Now, once you move your unit, there are a bunch of different victory conditions. In this case, our only victory condition is to seize the gate, which means moving our commanding unit, in this case Lynn, onto the gate, and choosing the seize command. Really quickly though, gonna take a quick look at stats. You have strength, which determines your damage, skill determines your hit percentage, and I believe your crit. Speed determines the amount that you'll move, luck determines critical percentage, and a bunch of other stats. It actually benefits just about everything except for damage, albeit to a much smaller extent than its other alternatives. Defense, physical defense, resistance, defense versus magic, move, the number of spaces you can move, constitution and aid. Once you can rescue people, if their aid is higher than the constitution of the unit they're trying to rescue, it's possible to rescue them. Other than that, we also have a weapon level, which goes up as you, or mastery level, which goes up as you use weapons, and as you can see, this one is a rank E, so anyone can use it that can use swords. The higher up your rank with a weapon, the weapon mastery that is, the better weapons you'll be able to use. So with that, we have completed the prologue, and we wake up the next morning. Now, for some reason, this random person... We want her to get permission from her parents, right. Okay, so her parents are dead, and she's the last of her kind. That's sad, I suppose. Well, no reason to stick around then, sure. Chill out with us. Okay, so a little bit of reason. She needs to get stronger, kill the bandits that killed her father, blah 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 blah. And naturally, that's just going to be all this game is. Once you get revenge on the bandits, the game ends and that's it. Kind of a weak first entry to the North American series, but you know. Complete the task in each chapter, turn the instruction window on or off by pressing select. Oh, I think I'm going to have to do that. So we're going to save here. And yeah, this has hardly taken any time at all. Let's do the first or even the second level within the first episode here. Alright. Now, even though this says chapter 1, the first 10 chapters or so, pretty much the entirety of Lynn's story, is an extended tutorial. So, there's a city, we should purchase supplies. Alright. A bit of a Fire Emblem tradition, there's always a red knight and a green knight. This one is Sane, if I'm not mistaken. And his companion is Kent, I want to say? Yep, there it is. So, they have to find... They're on a mission of some sort. Sorry, I am actually reading through all of this, but... anyone who doesn't read quite as quickly probably isn't able to. Greatest apologies, I'll try to slow down, but worst comes to worst and you really want to catch all this dialogue, feel free to pause the video, just take a quick look at it. There's nothing particularly meaningful here. Alright, so apparently Lynn might be the mission of these two unknown knights. Alright, that guy's a bit of a creepy grin on him. Alright, so you're not going to be Lindis? Seriously? And you made fun of me for Tibbet? Alright, whatever. Alright, so the people that you fight at the beginning of the game are going to be pretty much exclusively axe-wielding units. Because there is a... Oh god, should I explain this already? No, it's only episode 2. Long story short, it is beneficial to your primary unit, in this case Lynn, if the enemy is wielding axes at the beginning of the game. So, it's definitely something you should pay attention to. So those two knights of town have... from town have caught up with us. And... yeah, those ruffians do wish to do us harm. Alright. So, with the red and green knights... Oh, and they're talking to us now. We are going to command everyone here. And the story is, since you're always with the leader of the party, if the leader of the party ever dies, it's game over. So, here we're going to learn the basics of terrain. And here's the thing, if any of your units die during the tutorial, they will still return once you hit Eliwood or Hector's story, the later stories in the game. If they die during Eliwood or Hector's story, they're gone forever. That's one of the things about Fire Emblem, is you want to raise a reliable army with units that you know and that you can rely upon. But if you rely on them too much and put them into too difficult of positions, they have that chance to die. So, we're going to select Sane here, the Green Knight. The Green Knight is always a bit less skillful than his companion, in this case 6 skill to 4, but he is considerably more powerful, so if you want somebody more reliable, go with Kent. If you want somebody more powerful, go with Sane. Now, Sane has absolutely no mind for tactics, so he's just going to immediately charge into the fray. This, again, remains scripted until they all stop talking and say, we'll let you control the rest of the fight. If you don't hit an enemy, your experience is minimized. He only got 1 there, so that would take a heck of a long time. Alright, so Sane gets a sword now. And you do want to use swords against people with axes, again, something to be explained at a later time. Now, we have Kent, who's a bit more reliable. Oh, actually, they're explaining it now. This is the weapon triangle. It's a bit of a weird rock, paper, scissors sort of thing that happens in pretty much every Fire Emblem game that I know of. In this case, as you can see on the screen, swords beat axes, axes beat lances, lances beat swords. So, if you're using a lance, you get 10 extra damage and 10 extra hit chance against a sword. But if you're using a lance against an axe, you get 10% less hit chance and 1 damage less, while the opponent will also get the exact same bonuses that you would have gotten if you'd had the advantage. So you want to use a weapon that your opponent is weak to just about always, which is why they throw so many bandits at you. Since Lyn exclusively wields swords, if they threw lance-wielding enemies at you at the beginning of the game, you'd be in a fairly bad situation. The weapon triangle, remember, this is of the utmost importance, and they're not kidding. So, if you select Kent now, as the game tells you to, now Kent is going to move on to an open space, actually the only space that he can attack the bandit with. He's going to use his sword, not the lance, at which point you'll see he has a perfect hit chance, and a decent amount of damage that he'll do. There we go. Now, I do actually want Lyn to get a bunch of experience, as she does become a useful late-game unit. So, getting her more experience and making sure that she levels up during her own storyline will guarantee that when we see her later in the game, and we will see her later in the game, she is going to be a useful unit to us. Whereas if you don't level up the Lord at all, not only is it extremely easy to get a game over in the early stages of the game, you're also going to have a serious problem when it comes to having usable units later. So, Sane wants another chance, and he's going to blunder again. He's going to wield his sword, but he's still going to miss, because the enemy is in a forest. You can see that by the terrain at their feet, and if you were paying attention on the overworld map. Alright, now, where were we? Oh yes, Sane had just failed his attack because of the forest. Forests do give a bonus 10 dodge and 1 defense. Yeah, as Kent is explaining to Sane now. So, the benefit to this, of course, is the fact that, yes, each type of terrain has different characteristics, woods and plains. Now, you have to pay attention to the weapon triangle, as well as the weapons you're using, the types of enemies you're facing, and how many enemies you're putting your units into range of. So it's really just a matter of paying attention to where things are and where you're fighting with. Or where you're fighting with who you're fighting with. So we have Kent here, who is on a forest himself, which gives him that bonus hit and dodge. Or his bonus to avoid and his dodge and defense. Here. Okay. And the bandit gets likewise the same thing, but as swords are naturally more accurate than axes anyway, it's more beneficial to him to be able to do that. So, now what you want to do in this case... Oh, I was going to say the one over to the right, but alright, if you want. So, you want to generally stay in woods if you can help it, simply because it makes things a bit more beneficial for you. If an enemy comes to you and they aren't in the woods when they attack, that makes it even easier for you to dodge their attack and promptly get a counterattack off. Alright, you can also give items between units, so Sane being injured is going to need to get a healing item from Lyn. Gonna move him straight up and then trade. He's going to grab the used vulnerary from Lyn. And again, this is all tutorial. You have no choice in this matter. At least I don't believe so. It said something about turning tutorial windows off with the select button. I wonder if that works. Alright. And just front-loading all of the tutorial here. Mounted units have the ability to use the rest of their movement spaces after using a non-attack command. Alright, defeat all enemies, check the things to open the map menu. Oh dear. Alright, and that's it. With the best of luck, it's officially your turn to just move and attack per usual. Now, this guy is probably going to go attack Sane or Lynn. I'm not entirely sure who. Probably Lynn, so I'm just going to leave them both there for the moment. Worst case scenario, Sane gets the attack off, but he's not going to be able to crit and kill the enemy. And since I'm going to be trying to get Lynn most of the experience, we're going to have her use that. So, there we go, we're going to go to fast text speed. I might go to max just to make sure that it keeps going. Anyway, combat, everything's alright. We're going to turn it to fast movement speed just to make sure everybody's walking around the field at a fair pace. And what else? I do not want the help scroll. Auto cursor will not be on. I think that's it. That's all we need to do. Now, we are going to just end our turn since we have nothing else to do. Dang, they do just speed across the battlefield there, don't they? I don't think Sane is going to get a second attack off. Nope. Alright. And now that bandit is weak enough that Lynn can take him out with ease. So, without further ado... it's all percentages. Well, except for the damage, obviously. So it's not all percentages, but it's largely percentages. God, they move really quickly, don't they? I might have to turn that back just because that's a little bit for the first couple of levels. Once you start to get to the later levels and you have upwards of 20 units moving in a single turn, then you might want some faster movement speed. But for now, I think we should be alright. Now, we do want Lynn to be... yeah, I'm turning that back. Oh no, I don't want to quit, I want to go to my options. There we go. Alright, game speed, normal. Much improved. We're going to move Sane around here, and the boss does not move. Indeed, most of the bosses in the first part of the game don't move at all. So, you can use this to your advantage. This does change in one of the later game modes, but it's not one that we're going to be seeing in this Let's Play, so for the purpose of this, just keep in mind, if it has a little shield on it, it's probably not going to come to you. You probably have to go to it. Now, Lynn's gonna hit level 3, hopefully get some extra strength, or defense, or... of course not. Alright, Lynn is a really fast unit, but she has a lot of trouble with defense, resistance, and strength stat growth. She'll often max out on skill and speed, even getting extremely hard luck stats, but even when she levels up, she just remains extremely squishy, which is why it's kind of important to make sure that she doesn't die by making sure that she's leveled up enough that that speed is high enough that she can dodge whatever comes her way. So, with this, we're going to move to the enemy turn. Since I just want Lynn to fight this boss, let's see what kind of chances he has. He can do 11 damage. So what I'm going to do, if you think that if a boss hits you twice and you would die, as unlikely as it might be, what you can always do is just kind of wait there. And then, after you end your turn, the boss will take the first move and attack you. If you get hit, you can use a vulnerary. If you don't get hit, you can use the opportunity to attack if it'll kill the boss. Or, if neither of those happen, you can just end the turn again and make sure that the boss continues their assault first. The only disadvantage to being attacked instead of attacking is the enemy gets the first attack. But if they miss anyway, then you really don't have any problem there. There we go. We are going to attack twice more. Even if we get hit now, it doesn't matter as it is the last turn. And Lynn's going to get the kill and a lot of EXP. Bosses often give extremely increased EXP, but it doesn't seem they're giving 100 flat quite yet. So, you get a little still image of the knights. Alright, there's a mountain southwest. Oh, exposition. Alright, so Lynn is actually nobility, she never knew about it, her mother eloped with a nomad, backstory. And there is a lot of backstory for Fire Emblem. And Lord Lundgren, again, Tibbet is a weird name. Alright, so there is a scheming advisor who is heir to our grand-uncle's throne. Or our grandfather's throne. A grand-uncle is... oh, whatever. So he's going to try to kill Lynn to make sure that he gets the throne, which is now the plot of the first part of the game. And we really couldn't turn down an adventure. That would make, again, the game extremely short. So we're going to save here. How long have we gone into the video? Alright, you know, I think this has gone about long enough for the first episode at the very least. Sorry that this one is starting off a little slowly, folks, but trust me, later in the game things will be quite a bit more interesting. So, until next time, this has been PA, and I'll see you all then.